In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front forward lower control arm on this BMW X5. This is going to be located behind the front wheels. Let's get into it. We're going to move the wheel, use a 17mm socket, take the lug bolts out. Before I take the last lug nut off, I'm just going to hold the wheel from falling and take this off. And grab the wheel, pull it right off. We're going to remove this shield. There's some push pins underneath here. I'm just going to use some push pin pliers or some trim tools. Just pop these out. Pull those out. Now pull this cover off, use an 8mm socket. Take these bolts out. There's a screw there. One right here. And 3 up here. These out, grab this shield and pull it down. And we're going to take this nut off, use an 18mm wrench and a T40 socket to hold the stud. And loosen this. Might want to crack it free first. All right. That's going to hold the stud. Take that nut off. Using a pry bar, just going to go underneath the axle. Just pry down the sway bar and slide the link out. Now it's separated. I'm going to take the axle nut off. I'm just going to use a chisel. It is peened over a little bit, so you just want to get underneath there. Just try to bend it back a little bit. Same with the other side, bend that back. Now we're going to use a 36mm socket. Normally this is going to be a 12-point nut, so you're going to use a 12-point 36mm socket. Take this off. And you're going to use a punch and just separate the axle. Just hammer that back, make sure that's loose from the hub. Just because the knuckle's going to tip out a little bit, we're going to disconnect the wires. Open up this box. There's 2 connectors in here. Just pop these out. One of these is for the wheel speed sensor, and the other one is for the brake pad sensor. Just push those down, disconnect those. And we'll take those out of the bracket. Right there. And that's just going to hang like that. Using a 16mm wrench and a 16mm socket, take this nut and bolt out. Just going to use a pry bar, pry down the upper control arm, pull that bolt out, and then separate the ball joint from the control arm. If it doesn't come out this easy, then you can just use a pry bar, spread that a little bit, or even give it a tap with a punch underneath there, punch it out. Just want to pull this out and just pull the axle out just like that. You don't have to pull it out completely. You just need to gain some room. Just have that out of the way. And then be careful with the brake hose. You don't want to put too much tension on that. So I'm just going to use a tie-down strap and just attach this to the coil spring or to the strut. Just tighten that down, just so it doesn't put too much tension on the brake hose. That's good. That's loose. I'm going to take this nut off. Use a 27mm 12-point socket. Take that off. Now, there's different front end tools you can use to separate the ball joint from the knuckle. I'm just going to use an air hammer. Just give it a tap. Separate that. And using a 18mm wrench on the nut, 18mm socket on the bolt. I'm going to loosen this up. Take these out. We're going to take these two bolts out, use a 8mm socket. Take those out. Now just twist this down so you can get that bolt out. Pull the bolt out. You can pull the arm out. It comes right out. Take the new forward control arm. Slide the ball joint in place. You can get the nut on, get the nut started. And get the bushing close. We'll put the bolt through. There we go. And just push that through. Just tap that in and put the nut on. Get that started. All right. Using a 22mm socket, we'll tighten this down. Snug that. Now torque this nut to 59 foot-pounds. It's good. Now before we tighten this nut and bolt down, we have to put the rest of the suspension back together so that we can raise the suspension, because it has to be as close to normal height as possible. Now grab the axle. You want to slide that into the bearing so that you can tip this back. You can take this tie down off. And get this to line up. Just pry it down. Just wiggle it a little. Put the bolt through. And the nut on. And we can snug that down. Snug that down. And torque this down to 41 foot-pounds. That's good. Now connect the wires to the connectors. They only connect to one. You can't mess it up. Can't swap them by accident. And put these in the little door. And close the door. And put the wires in the bracket. Push those on. There you go. Now I'm going to pry down the sway bar and push the link through the knuckle. Just like that. Put the nut on. Just snug that down first. Now I torque the nut to 74 foot-pounds. Now I'm using a pull jack I'm gonna raise up the suspension. You want it as close to ride height as possible. Just be careful. Now we'll tighten this down. Now we're going to torque this nut and bolt to 74 foot-pounds and then an additional 90 degrees. If you have a torque angle meter, you can use that. If not, do the best you can. Now we can lower this down. I take that inner fender well, get this lined up, get the bolts started. Tighten these down. And I take this shield, get this lined up underneath, and get the screws started. More. And before I tighten those down, there is push pins. Put these push pins in, and you can push these down. Push that up, that's good. And tighten these down. Snug those down. Now take the axle nut, get that started, tighten that down, take two of the lug studs, get those started. And with the pry bar there, just so this doesn't spin. We'll torque this to 310 foot-pounds. There we go. Take that off. Take these out. Now on the nut, where there's a cutaway at the axle, use a punch or a chisel. And just give it a tap. And just peen it over a little bit, just like that. Rotate that. And we'll do the same on this side. That's just going to prevent the nut from loosening up. That's good. Now take the wheel, get that lined up. That's good right there. Get the bolt started. Snug these down. Now we're going to torque the lug bolts to 103 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Go around again, double check. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.